and welcome to the news on NTA International. We are live in Abuja and streaming live on Vision TV 24/7 and other social media platforms displayed on your screen. I am Charles Alpha and our sign language interpreter is Shegun Ajayi. First, the headlines. Information Minister describes flag off of APG compressed natural gas conversion center as a laudable private sector initiative. Russia takes over BRICS presidency as 5 countries join group. And Japan Airlines aircraft collides with Coast Guard aircraft at Tokyo's Haneda Airport. Japan lifts all tsunami warnings as rescuers battled round the clock, and powerful aftershocks Tuesday to find survivors of New Year's Day earthquake that killed over 50 people. Ochogochukwu reports that the Coast Guard plane due to deliver aid to areas hit by the earthquake collided at Tokyo's Haneda Airport.
Quake that rattled Ishikawa Prefecture on the main island of Honshu triggered tsunami waves more than a meter high, toppled houses, caused a major fire, and tore roads apart. On the Noto Peninsula, buildings were damaged by fire, houses flattened, fishing boats sunk or washed ashore, and highways hit by landslides. Local authorities say the death toll is expected to rise as rescuers comb through the rubble. Aerial footage shows the terrifying scale of a fire that ripped through the old market area of Wajima, where a 7-story commercial building also collapsed. The damage by the earthquake impaired rescue efforts to put out the blaze. The local energy provider said almost 33,000 households were without power in the region, which saw temperatures touch freezing overnight, with many cities running out of water. The U.S. Geological Survey said the quake had a magnitude of 7.5, while Japan's meteorological agency measured it at 7.6 and said it was one of more than 150 to shake the region Tuesday morning. On Monday, waves at least 1.2 meters high hit Wajima, and a series of smaller tsunamis were reported elsewhere. Meanwhile, 5 people aboard a Japanese Coast Guard plane due to deliver aid to areas hit by Monday's deadly earthquake have died after their aircraft collided with a passenger plane at Tokyo's Haneda Airport. Fire ripped through the Japan Airlines Flight 516, which had taken off from Hokkaido in northern Japan nearly 2 hours earlier. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Ochogochukwu is also reporting that more than 2,000 residents in East Java Province, Indonesia, have been evacuated to temporary shelters following heightened volcanic activities.
The Center for Volcanology and Geological Hazard Mitigation say Indonesia's Mount Lewotowey Laki-Laki in East Nusa Tenggara Province has erupted several times in recent weeks, including an eruption on Monday that spewed volcanic ash 1.5 kilometers above its peak. The agency recorded another eruption from Lewotowey Laki-Laki on Tuesday, but ash clouds from the volcano were not observed. Volcanic ashes from recent eruptions have affected 2 sub-districts near Lewotowey Laki-Laki Mountain, prompting more than 2,000 residents to evacuate to temporary shelters set up by local governments. Authorities had raised the volcano status to the 2nd highest of Indonesia's 4 alert levels and expanded the exclusion zone from 2 kilometers to 4 kilometers around its crater. Reports say the volcano's ash also forced France Seda Airport, located more than 80 kilometers away, to close since Monday. The South Asian archipelago sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire, an area of intense volcanic and seismic activity. Last month, Mount Merapi, which means Mountain of Fire, on Sumatra Island erupted and 23 people were killed. Indonesia has nearly 130 active volcanoes. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
And in Moscow, Russia has taken over the BRICS presidency as Saudi Arabia, Egypt, the United Arab Emirates, Iran and Ethiopia joined the ranks of the group. The 5 countries were to join the group in August 2023 at the 15th BRICS Summit in Johannesburg, South Africa. The BRICS group of emerging countries was formed in 2006 by Brazil, Russia, India and China, with South Africa joining in 2010. It has since become an important platform for cooperation among emerging markets and developing countries. The doubling of its members on Monday is aimed at increasing the group's presence on the global stage. Under the motto Strengthening Multilateralism or for Equitable Global Development and Security, Russia will hold the chair for 1 year and will host the BRICS annual summit in Kazan in October. Now, politician and opposition figure Success Masra has been named as the new Prime Minister of the Fifth Republic of Chad following a referendum. The announcement followed the resignation of the previous Prime Minister Saleh Kebzoba. Minister Mahamat Ahmad made the announcement on national television with reactions on the streets of the capital from Masra's political party, the Transformers, while supporters gathered at the Transformers Party headquarters to celebrate. There were also voices of skepticism and disappointment among the populace. And former Director General of the National Identity Management Commission, Aliyu Aziz, has been appointed an Ambassador Emeritus for Life by the Identity for Africa, ID for Africa movement effective January 1st, 2024. This follows the completion of Aziz's tenure as Nigeria's ambassador to the movement on December 31st, 2023. In a letter signed by Joseph Artic, Executive Chairman, ID for Africa, the honors is in recognition of the former namesake boss's commitment to developing responsibility identity system in Nigeria throughout his 3-year tenure as ambassador, culminating in the country becoming the first country in the world to formally recognize September 16 as ID Day. In his new role, Aliyu Aziz is expected to intensify advocacy for development of responsible digital identity system for the benefit of Nigerians and the wider African continent. The ID for Africa is a non-governmental organization founded in 2014 to assist African nations on their journeys to develop robust and responsible identity ecosystems in the service of development and humanitarian action. Now, sequel to an investigation by an online reporter, the Federal Ministry of Education has suspended the evaluation and accreditation of degree certificates from Benin and Togo republics effective from 2nd of January 2024. A statement from the ministry says this is pending the outcome of an investigation that would involve the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Nigeria and the 2 countries. The ministry is responsible for education in both countries, as well as the Department of State Security Services, the National Youth Service Corps. The ministry therefore called on the general public to support its efforts, show understanding and provide useful information that will assist the committee in finding lasting solutions and prevents a reoccurrence. The ministry has also commenced internal administrative processes to determine the culpability or otherwise of her staff for which applicable public service sanctions will be applied. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, has applauded the flag of ABG Compressed Natural Gas Conversion Center in Abuja as a laudable private sector initiative that will fast-track federal government's efforts towards deepening CNG utilization. Lydia Sampson reports that the minister said it will reduce over-reliance on petrol and promote cleaner and cheaper alternative fuel.
That is a wonderful initiative by...
The minister is categorical that the ABG CNG Conversion Center is a first of its kind, particularly the training of 40 young Nigerians on efficient CNG conversion process.
You are aware that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has committed the sum of about 100 billion in the first instance to support this initiative. That money is meant for the first purchase of CNG buses, conversion, and support to private sector like this. And I know that the president is always desirous of asking the private sector to join hands. So whatever government will do to support the private sector, it will do it.
The minister says he's not surprised given the antecedent of ABG in pioneering satellite television in Nigeria in the past 4 decades. For 82-year-old Bawa Garba, trailblazing resonates with his resolve at collaborating with government towards creating employment and deepening private sector participation in business.
The idea is to flag off here, and the next after Abuja will be Lagos.
We are willing to do instrumental payments for drivers. We are also partnering with a bank where they can go and open a bank. Once they are registered with us, we will take them to that bank. That bank is willing to also fund them for the conversion kits, interest-free.
Raji Adegoke, one of the 40, gave insight on the knowledge acquired so far.
Between the gas cylinder at the back of the boot, there is a high-pressure hose that takes the gas from the boot to the engine.
ABG international partner and lead trainer is optimistic that the 40 Nigerians trained are good to go on all conversion processes.
First of all, yes, they're capable of doing any type of intervention. Their installations are actually very well oriented and guaranteed.
They are unanimous that CNG is cost-effective and eco-friendly alternative to petrol, offering several benefits. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
Now, the challenges posed by money laundering and terrorism financing globally are no secret as its impacts adversely on the economy and political stability of nations. Chukwunonso Nwabeze in this report takes a look at the efforts of the ECOWAS through its Intergovernmental Action Group against money laundering in West Africa at addressing issues of illicit financial crimes within the region.
The world is no doubt facing great challenge of combating terrorism, terrorism financing, money laundering, and other forms of transnational organized crimes. Experts say proliferation of small arms and weapons under the control of non-state actors in developing economies are being fueled by illicit financial flow. And in a bid to tackle this, the Authority of Heads of State and Government of ECOWAS in December 2000 established the Intergovernmental Action Group Against Money Laundering in West Africa, GIABA, as one of its specialized institutions saddled with the mandate of ensuring that national economies of member states are safe from all forms of unlawful financial activities in line with the recommendations of the Global Money Laundering Watchdog, the Financial Action Task Force, FATF.
The financial crime that we're all fighting together acts as a barrier to sustainable and inclusive growth and creates macroeconomic distortions. These illicit financial flows reduce your productivity growth through an inefficient allocation of resources in your economies. They widen inequality and exacerbate financial exclusion, which undermines social cohesion and trust in government.
The institution, in an effort to strengthen member states' anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing regimes, in 2023 at Nigeria's capital city Abuja, held its 40th Technical Commission and Plenary Meeting, 27th Ministerial Committee Meeting, 2023 ECOWAS Compliance Summit, in addition to the ambassadorial briefing that took place in Dakar, Senegal.
Our collective effort in the fight against money laundering, terrorist financing, and other forms of financial and transnational crimes urgently requires coordination, cooperation with oneness of purpose in protecting our economies and preventing other adverse activities to our national and regional security.
As we move towards the conclusion of the second round of mutual evaluations in our region and begin preparations for the third round, it is important that we take time to reflect on how we, as leaders in our countries, have contributed to strengthening our national AML, CFT, and CPF frameworks.
Following satisfactory progress on the implementation of key priorities identified in the Effectiveness Improvement Action Plan, FATF at its 2023 plenary in October approved the exit of Djibouti from the Effective Improvement Program, marking a new height in its operations. Also at the plenary, Côte d'Ivoire exited FATF's International Cooperation Review Group ICRG process, joining the likes of Nigeria, Senegal, Mali and Burkina Faso.
The experience of Nigeria and indeed other countries in our region demonstrate the value of participating fully and unequivocally to the implementation of the recommended actions which the mutual evaluation identifies.
I want to use this meeting to call on member states to take prosecution seriously because it is the end game of our work. So the more people that are prosecuted, the terrorists are served, okay, and then the less crime is likely to be committed. But if we do not prosecute, we just keep people, we do not name and shame them, then there is no need of what we are doing.
As Djibouti continues to work towards expanding its operational mandate to include access recovery, the body is expected in 2024 to start a critical conversation with member states and stakeholders to create a regional sanction regime that seeks to deny, block the movement of the proceeds of crimes, as well as restrict the physical movement of criminals and terrorist associates within the ECOWAS. Chukwunonsonwa Bweze, NTA News.
You're still watching the news on NTA International. We will take a quick break now. More reports ahead. Please do stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. If nearly half of the world's population are subjected to acute gender-based violence, disenfranchised from adequate economic and empowerment activities, as well as denied access to political development and engagement at the decision-making table, the worry: how will the world attain full economic development in line with Sustainable Development Goal 5? This is the concern of over 600 million women and girls on the African continent who have reportedly remained ignored. Basi Etaipan reports that respondents look forward to a better 2024 in Nigeria and the continent as a whole.
Africa is a continent with diverse culture, customs and traditions, and as beautiful as some of this continent's ways of life are, many are pivoted in discrimination and inequality against women. To achieve Africa's development goals, advocates want the role of women in the society to be addressed to ensure that all spheres and political, economic, and social aspects of their lives are radically changed.
As African Union, and the Constitutive Act has recognized that we still have challenges on the continent. So it's important as a union to have very clear and loud commitment that we are going to address that.
In some parts of Nigeria, like many other countries of the world, women are viewed as second-class citizens. Each long tradition favors men over women, and gender equality seems a mirage.
Until we make a deliberate and conscious effort to include more women in the political system in Nigeria, I don't think we're going to move very far. We need a seat in the government. We need our quota in the government.
Nigerian National Gender Policy 2006 highlights women's rights and makes provision for increased number of women in elected and appointed positions to 35%.
Those are things we are talking about. Increased number of women who are elected to position, women who are appointed. Because those who have been appointed and elected have distinguished themselves. So why are more women not being represented? That is the question we need to ask.
In 2023, several programs were carried out in Nigeria by the government, individuals and NGOs in an attempt to respond to the development from the international arena by articulating policies and programs that seek to reduce gender inequalities in the society. However, the success of bridging the gap between men and women, experts say, seems far-fetched but near.
The odds are actually stacked against women. There is absolutely nothing that has not been done by way of advocacy, but it does appear that the might of patriarchy that we're fighting in Nigeria seems to be very tough. But we are making progress, one woman at a time, one conference at a time, one advocacy message at a time. But we are focusing also now on ourselves.
There should be no form of discrimination in anything. The first thing we need to understand is we all are human. And as long as you are human, you have brains. And there is no limited brain. And like when we say men don't have longer arms and women have shorter arms, right? So we all are expected to function as one in same ability.
Some speakers say adherence to the African Charter on the Rights of Women in Africa, otherwise known as Maputo Protocol, in 2024 will go a long way. The Charter stipulates the various actions African states need to undertake to combat all forms of discrimination against women and girls. These rights, they noted, are part of African Union Gender Empowerment and Equality Framework and are what the African women deserve and want. Basi Taikban, NTA News.
The Action Democratic Party, ADP, has rejected the outcome of election of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, on the grounds of irregularities. Now the report. The December 18, 2023 IPAC election aimed at electing a new leadership produced Maman Dantele of the Allied People's Movement, APM, as winner of that election with 10 votes. And closest rival Yabagi Yusuf Sani of the Action Democratic Party, ADP, and sitting chairman of IPAC, securing 8 votes. National Organizing Secretary of ADP, Alex Mayanga, while addressing newsmen at the party secretariat in Abuja, said after investigation, some irregularities were discovered and the party has therefore rejected and taken legal action.
The Electoral Committee, which was supposed to be composed of 3 members, was illegally whittled down to 2 members. Added to the above, eligible contestants were unjustly disqualified. The court, in its motion ex parte, directed IPAC to maintain the status quo, allowing Engineer Yabagi Yusuf Sani led executive committee to continue piloting the affairs of the council until the hearing and determination of the motion.
Alex Mayanga said while the party will continue to uphold democratic values and the rule of law, IPAC, he said, should serve as an example to political parties in guaranteeing good governance and transparency. The governors of Nasarawa, Benue and Niger states are calling for thorough investigation to unveil those behind this recent attack in Plateau State with a view to bringing them to book. This was while paying a condolence visit to their Plateau counterparts, Caleb Muftwang in Jos. Grace Akwegotip reports.
The governors, who were accompanied by key officials from their states, describe as worrisome the recent attacks which led to killings of citizens and wanton destruction of valuable properties. They expressed dismay that Plateau, which is home of all, is experiencing such incidents, calling on the federal government to assist states battling with security issues.
We have to find a way. You should be the one, you should gather the courage to invite all those involved, all the major stakeholders, irrespective of where they are, who they are. You know, today we have enough technology to be able to detect who they are.
You cannot wish an enemy what you are going through at this moment. We have come to condole with all of you and to assure you of our support. Peace is not negotiable. We have to find peace wherever peace is.
Governor Caleb Muftwang expressed appreciation to his colleagues, noting that the visit has further encouraged and comforted the people of the state.
The North Central contains the riches of Nigeria, and if the North Central gets it right, Nigeria will be better off for it. So this is a moment of history that these governors are seizing. As we continue to compare notes as governors, particularly in this region, it gives me hope that Nigeria will be better.
In Jos, Grace Akwegoti, NTA News.
President of the Senate, Senator David Mark, has urged the federal government to consider a review of the security architecture with a view to making it more proactive and strategic towards addressing the challenges. Senator Mark, in a statement signed by his media advisor, Paul Mume, said a review will identify the loopholes and devise a means to end the bloodshed. The former two-time Senate President implored the government to collaborate with subnational governments in the task of ensuring peace and security in the country. Senator Mark, while commiserating with the government and people of Plateau State, advised residents to be alert, cooperate with security operatives, and called for harmonious relationship among various ethnic and religious adherents in the country. Up next is a weather prospect. And this is where we end the news. Thanks for watching. I am Charles Alpha. Shegun Ajay has been our sign language interpreter.